Idahoans to choose to receive the safe, effective COVID-19 vaccine.
A plea from Governor Brad Little after just 4 ICU beds are all that is left in all of Idaho. Now, just 2 months after demobilizing the National Guard, he has reactivated the Guard in the fight against COVID.
And in weather, we are tracking pleasant temperatures again for Wednesday, but get ready for a nice warm-up just in time for the holiday weekend. I've got your forecast coming up next.
The war in Afghanistan is now over.
And despite the president declaring the longest war in American history is now over, hundreds of Americans and Afghan allies remain in Afghanistan. And now there are threats that extremists could take advantage of the withdrawal.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Krem2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward. Teetering on the brink. That is how Idaho Governor Brad Little described the state's healthcare system right now as the Delta variant of the coronavirus continues to ravage the country.
He said hospitals are completely overwhelmed and announced new action that he is taking to try to help out. But he also warned if something doesn't change, more dire action could be needed. Krem2 political reporter Casey Decker live in the newsroom tonight with more from the governor today. Casey?
Well, Mark, Whitney, today the governor revealed in the entire state of Idaho there are only 4 vacant standard ICU beds, and overflow beds that were just created outside of the normal system, they're already also filling up. Little said the system just isn't built for such a huge, sustained crisis, saying staff have been overworked for months. So he announced some new measures aimed at helping them. First, he is remobilizing the National Guard. 150 guardsmen will help medical staff, primarily with logistics. Second, 200 federal workers will come to Idaho to help, both with administrative duties and medicine. And finally, a special 20-person medical response team from the Pentagon will be coming to North Idaho. Little singled out our region of the state as an area most in need of help, in part because vaccine rates are so low here. Today, he warned that if the situation in our hospitals does not improve, he may have to do something that he says has never been done before in the state's history. Declare a crisis standard of care, which would require medical personnel to basically triage people who come into the hospital.
Idahoans in need of health care could receive a lesser standard of care or may be turned away altogether. In essence, someone would have to decide who can be treated and who cannot. This affects all of us, not just patients with COVID-19. We cannot allow that to happen until we've done all we can to address the crisis playing out in our hospitals. We're pulling out all of the stops.
But the governor also said the single most important thing that can be done, improving vaccination rates. Nearly every single new COVID case, hospitalization, and death in Idaho this year was someone who was unvaccinated.
It is our ticket out of the pandemic. There are many of our family members, neighbors, and friends who are on the fence about getting the vaccine or have just been putting it off. To those fellow Idahoans, the time to receive the vaccine is now.
Now, I also reached out to Kootenai Health tonight to see how these deployments might affect them. They said, though, right now they aren't exactly sure and are still working those details out. But just recently, a few days ago, Panhandle Health District told us that the demobilization of the National Guard earlier this year was a big loss of labor and a significant stressor on their system, so surely having them back will be welcome. In the newsroom tonight, Casey Decker, Krem2 News.
Casey, thank you very much. Meantime, while North Idaho has not released their latest coronavirus numbers today, Spokane Regional Health District is reporting a staggering amount of hospitalizations yet again, and things are not looking any better here. In total, 221 people are hospitalized in the county due to the coronavirus. That's according to the health district. 292 new cases also reported today alone, and 3 new deaths were reported as well.
And just a few moments ago, the North Idaho College Board of Trustees voted to delay a decision in the future of the college's president. The board was set to decide whether they would renew President Rick McLennan's contract during a special board meeting tonight. Now, the board and the president have butted heads over COVID-19 protocols. McLennan instituted a mask mandate to take effect at the start of fall semester. But then 2 days later, the board voted to rescind that mandate. Tonight, the board voting 3-1 to postpone the vote on McLennan's contract until at least September 22nd.
Taking a brief break from the headlines to talk weather. We're getting a taste of fall with these cooler temperatures, especially in the mornings. There's even talk of a frost warning.
I know, we didn't love that sound, but we love views like this where it's really beautiful during the
fantastic.
Daytime. Chief Meteorologist Tom Sherry is out there in the beautiful sunshine right now, but tell us what we need to know as far as this frost warning here.
Well, yeah, the frost advisory, and you're correct. It's the first one of the season. Everywhere you see shaded in blue right here, including the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene area. It's through tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Many valleys will drop down into the mid-30s, some areas even getting down around freezing. So yeah, frost a real possibility, so be aware of that. These are some of the peak wind gusts that we've seen across the area today. 32-mile-an-hour winds down into Pullman, 23 in Spokane, 23 in the Coeur d'Alene area, 26-mile-per-hour winds up around Bonners Ferry, 23 out towards Moses Lake. It's still breezy out here right now. When we take a look at the satellite and radar picture, we've got a big weather system that's just kind of blowing around up there in areas of British Columbia and western Alberta. We're on the tail edge of this thing, so we've gotten some rain in the Cascades, but all we're really seeing here from that front, it's a dry front, at least in eastern Washington, is dry conditions, breezy conditions, and temperatures that were about 10 degrees cooler today than yesterday. Now, for tomorrow, we'll look for a daytime high of 72 after a chilly night down to 44. And for your 3-day weekend, it goes like this: 82 on Saturday, 81 on Sunday, and 79 degrees on your Labor Day. I'll have a look at your 7-day forecast, all coming up in a few minutes.
Looking forward to hearing more about that, Tom. Thank you very much. And that cooler weather will certainly help firefighters across the inland Northwest. Right now, there are 17 uncontained fires and complex fires in the Pacific Northwest, 12 of them in Washington.
So let's jump right in. The Idaho Department of Lands is continuing to fight a fire that began yesterday near Moscow. The Idler's fire has so far burned more than 50 acres. It's 0% contained. Good news, however, it is fully lined, they say. One house has been destroyed in the fire's path, and level 3 evacuations are still in place. A Red Cross shelter has been set up at the Latah County Fairgrounds.
And all evacuations for the Rooster Comb fire have now been lifted. This is the one burning in South Wenatchee. So far, it's burned 230 acres. It's only 10% contained. It was burning mostly in grass and sagebrush. The cause is still under investigation.
Shocking images now out of Northern California, where crews are working to protect homes in South Lake Tahoe. The Calder fire is scorching its way toward the lakeside town, where residents scrambled to evacuate yesterday.
So the fire has already burned more than 191,000 acres. That's just since it started about 3 weeks ago. After evacuation orders went into effect for the city's 22,000 residents, the fire then jumped the highway.
The fire has destroyed at least 480 homes and 182 commercial or smaller structures. At least 5 people have been injured due to the fire, and more than 3,000 firefighters have been battling the flames.
So there are a lot of other fires that we didn't get to in this broadcast, but we do have the information and we're continuing to track them. So we've made it really easy for you to get all of the latest data and the most up-to-date information on all the fires that are burning across our region. Just text the word FIRE to 509-448-2000 and we'll send that link right to your phone.
In other news, powerful images showing American soldiers last night in Afghanistan. And despite the end of America's longest war, U.S. citizens are still left behind. And today, President Joe Biden defended his decision to leave the country and said they have been in contact with some of those Americans who are left behind. The administration estimates more than 122,000 people were evacuated, while around 300 Americans remain in the war-torn country. President Biden says they will continue to coordinate with international partners to ensure their safe return.
We remain committed to get them out if they want to come out. Leaving August the 31st is not due to an arbitrary deadline. It was designed to save American lives.
U.S. law enforcement have said the Department of Homeland Security has issued warnings that extremists could seek to exploit the U.S. withdrawal. DHS has deployed staff to assist in vetting the tens of thousands Afghan allies arriving now in the U.S.
And residents in storm-battled Louisiana are now trying to pick up the pieces after Hurricane Ida, and they're doing it in the blazing heat. A powerful storm, of course, knocked out much of the state's power grid, and officials are now warning those outages could last for a month in some places. Evan Narani is on the ground today in Louisiana, where residents have been waiting for days for basics like food and gas.
In Laplace, 30 minutes outside of New Orleans, patience is running low.
I wish I would have left before the storm. Maybe everything would have been a little better.
Blocks away from the governor as he spoke, a line of dozens of cars. The rumor around the neighborhood that this independent gas station would reopen today.
I don't have gas in my car. Everywhere I went at, it's nothing. I'm scared I'm gonna break down. And every time we pull up to a gas station where they say there's resources, it's no gas.
Just over 48 hours ago, Hurricane Ida hit New Orleans as a Category 4 storm. Now residents say government assistance is slow to arrive.
It's like disturbing, very disturbing.
I never thought it would have been this bad. I mean, we would have left if we would have knew it was been this bad.
Government, we don't see nothing yet.
The people we spoke with say they believe elected officials could have done more to prepare for a moment like this, and without that support, they say they're relying on businesses like this to help them. Why are you helping people?
Well, that's what you do, man. Neighbors help neighbors.
Y'all, this is a catastrophe.
In front of the gas station, desperation.
I ain't eaten nothing in about 3 days. Everything is in a frenzy at this time. It's chaotic.
Behind it, the owner and his friends trying to hook up a generator. About an hour later, the gas station is up and running, open for business.
Yeah, we got 17 up.
Wait down here for the longest.
We got it going. How about that? Everybody's happy.
Man, 10 hours. We've been out here 10 hours trying to get gas. We just not got here.
The governor of Louisiana spoke in a press conference earlier today. He says there is currently no timeline on when power will be restored or when the debris will be cleaned up across the state of Louisiana, but he does say that crews will be working around the clock until that work is done. In Laplace, Louisiana, I'm Evan Nurani, Krem2 News.
All right, still to come tonight, a dedication ceremony is taking place for a first-of-its-kind high school right here in Spokane. Why the 24-year project is such a big deal for students.
Well, our special week-long special Scorched Earth series continues tonight during our 6 o'clock show. Tonight, I'll be looking into the epidemic of human-caused wildfires.
This year, we've surpassed last year's human-caused ignitions. We are up by 55% from this time last year.
What does that tell you?
That tells me that we need to do a better job with prevention.
So make sure and join us tonight at 6. The numbers showing that Western U.S. is fighting a completely different battle. We're back after the break.